touch is a nose boob to the palm of our hand. We can use this as a way to redirect our dog, call them to us, or even just kind of warm them up for some training.
Down. Yes, good girl. Much better. Touch. Touch. Yes, good girl. Touch. Touch. Yes, good girl. Sit. Down. Yes, good girl, Zoe. Sit. Yes. Down. Down. Yes, good girl. Nice job. Sit. Down. Yes, good girl. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes.
For come when called, as soon as we cue come, we want to begin praising them and being really enthusiastic to make it a really exciting and fun thing. We also want to make sure we are still periodically rewarding that recall, especially coming inside the house. That was something Lady struggled with a little bit because she loves being outside so much. So just making sure we're still rewarding it periodically so that it keeps it reinforced and keeps them coming when you ask.
Good girls. Nice job.
Leave it means stop and back away from the thing that you were going for. So I've cued her to leave it. As soon as she does, yes, and I'm going to reward. In real life, you're not going to have those treats on you. So you can see what I'm going to do here is as soon as she does that, I'm going to do what I call a praise party all the way to the cookies, and then she gets her treat. So it's just really important to keep treat jars in areas of the house where you spend the most time with the pups so that you're able to reward and reinforce that good behavior. So here is Lady doing the same thing, and even practicing spilling something larger.
Yes, good girl. Nice job.
Drop it means let go of the item that's in your mouth. So here I'm practicing with Zoey using a paper towel. Both Zoey and Lady really love paper products, so it's a good way to practice. So I drop it, wait for her to get it, then ask her to drop it, and then when she does, she gets rewarded. So just like that, leave it, making sure you have treats in areas of the house that are easy and accessible so that you can reward in real life when these opportunities come up. So here's Lady doing the same thing, practicing with a paper towel. And then I've also practiced with high value items like a really exciting dog chew.
Yes, good girl.
And here's Lady doing a real life drop it.
Nice job.
Wait means do not go any further. So unlike a traditional stay, it is not required that they stay in a sit or a down. They are allowed to move around even as long as they do not go further. So in this situation, I've asked her to wait at the door, cueing her that she's not allowed to go farther than the door, so not to go through the door. So this is obviously a very helpful one if you're trying to get out the door, have guests coming in or out, or needing to pick a package up from outside. Wait is also really helpful around things like stairs, which you're going to see me practice here, just so that you don't have dogs running under your feet, tripping you, anything like that. So you can use this in doorways, stairs. You can even use this in an area. Maybe there's a room you want to step into and you don't want them to follow you. And so you don't want them trying to squeeze through that door. So you can say, wait, go through and either leave the door open or shut. And wait means do not go any further. So even if you shut the door, that's okay. Obviously, that stops them from going any further. And then the really nice thing about wait is that it does not need released unless you're allowing them to cross that line. So you see here with the stairs, we go ask for the wait. Once I'm up the stairs and I want them to come with me, then I can say free, which is their release word. And that lets them know that they are allowed to cross that line. So at the door, you would only use free if you're going to let them go through the door. Otherwise, this cue does not need released because you're not allowing them to cross that line. So like I didn't use the free when I was getting the package off the front door, but if I was taking them out for a walk, then I could ask them to wait at the door. Once it's opened, then release them using free to tell them it is okay to go kind of cross that line.
Wait. Yes, good girl. Wait. Yes, good girl. Nice job. Wait. Free. Free. Good girl. Yes.
Place means go there and stay there until released. So much like wait, we do have that release word free that lets them know that they are allowed to get up. Otherwise, they should stay seated on their bed, ideally laying down. So in this training session, I was practicing some overall duration as well as distraction. So I'm walking further away, dropping items, running around, anything that would maybe normally get them excited and want them to leave. And I want them to kind of learn that if I've asked you to place, no matter what I'm doing, you should stay until you hear that release word. So here's Lady doing the same thing. If they get up and you did not release them, it's simply setting them back to place and working on it again. If it's continually happening, then you want to kind of check in and see if we're not reinforcing often enough for them at that point in their learning cycle. So as they get better at it, you'll slowly reward a little less and a little less. So this is one way you can practice in kind of a formal training session. The other way to practice is in real time place. And so in real time, you can do this in the kitchen, which is where we practice a lot around dinner time and cooking, as you see here. And I'm just periodically rewarding them throughout that time that I am cooking or we're eating. And then over time, you're just going to do a little less and a little less rewarding until they don't need it as much. Also, in the meantime, I would bring the beds pretty close to you so that you're able to get to them. And then over time, you can move that farther away. All right, let's go, Zoey. So we're heading out on our walk, and we're just going to kind of show you how things are going. She's doing so much better, walking a little bit more. Yes, good girl. We can get, I'd say, like 4 or 5 houses down before she starts to wear out a little bit and she wants to head back. And as long as there are no big, scary kind of noises, leave it. Yes, good girl. So what we're going to show you is just kind of the main thing we're doing on the walk. One is just getting her comfortable still. Good girl. So we're going to be giving her lots of praise, encouraging her and cheerleading her on. And then the big thing we're going to be doing is what I would call rewarding good choices. So that is when she is walking. Yes, good girl. I'm walking with me at my side, or even if she's a little in front, but as long as she's staying with me and actually walking, we're going to reward that. Let's go. Good girl. So we're going to be just rewarding her periodically. You can either, so you can see she gets a little, yes, good girl. A little nervous sometimes about her surroundings and wants to check everything out. So we're just going to stop and let her do that. Because at this age, my biggest concern with leash walking is just getting her comfortable with being outside and being out and seeing the world, hearing the things. So we're not going to rush her. We're going to go at her pace. This way, good girl. So if she starts to cross behind, just kind of cheerlead her on. What I was going to say is you can either reward her by handing it directly to her, or if it's easier for you, you can also do what we call get it. So she'll do get it, and then we kind of toss the treat forward and she'll go for it. Good girl. Yeah, good girl. That's a good girl. Get it. And so I'm going to toss that treat forward for her to get. Good girl. Yes, get it. Good girl. So some of the houses still have some Christmas decorations up and things like that. And so she's somewhat weirded out a little bit by new things. Come on. Good girl. But she just needs a lot of cheerleading to keep her going right now. Come on, you can do it. Come on, good girl. Yes. Oh, yeah. It's trash day, so the trash cans are out. Yes. Good girl. Nice job. Come on, Zoey. So you can see walks right now with her are going to be slow going, but you want to let her sniff and check things out. As I said, this is really the most important part of her leash skills at this point, is that she is exploring, checking things out, getting comfortable, because that's the stuff we need to focus on now so that later on she'll take the walks with you and be, able to take a full walk. Good girl. Come on. Good job. Because the comfort, right, is the most important part, and then training can always come after that or later. But also you can see is while we're working on building her comfort, we're also building good skills and habits. Yes, by rewarding her for walking with us nicely and at our side so that she understands right here's where all the good stuff happens. So she's not trying to pull ahead or anything like that. It's just a bird, Zoe. Just a bird. Let's keep walking. Good girl. Nice job, Zoe. You're doing awesome. So this is really the main thing with Zoe right now. Just getting her out. It's going to be important with both of them that they're getting that one-on-one walking time for their sake, for that individuality piece that is so important when we have litter mates. But also it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to work with them on their walking skills and get them both walking comfortably and easily. Oops, this way, over here, get it, before we ask them to kind of walk together. So this is pretty much it for Zoe. She's doing really well. This is such a big improvement that she's even out walking and going this far. So she's doing really good. The more you get her out, the better. Just keep it in small spurts of time. And going at her pace and not really pushing her too far out of that comfort zone, just a little bit at a time. So, all right, Zoe, let's go. Good girl, good girl. All right, so now we've got Miss Lady out on her walk. So you're going to see me doing the same things I was doing with Zoe, which is the rewarding good choices. So when she's walking next to me, yes, good girl. I can either say yes and hand the treat directly to her. That's that marker word that tells her she's doing the right things. Or I can do the get it and toss it forward. One thing you'll notice with Lady, and this might just be where she's lost some of her baby teeth recently, but she takes a little bit longer to chew. Yes, good girl. So when I stop to give her a treat, she hasn't quite learned the skill of chewing and walking if the treat is too big. So making sure the treats are nice and small so that she can kind of chew and also keep moving. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Get it. So same thing as we did with Miss Zoe. Lady is doing really well. She's not quite as nervous sometimes about certain sounds, but she does also still have some of that noise sensitivity out on walks. Come on. Good girl. And we're going to try to encourage her over here. Lady! So I can keep her on this side of me instead of her walking in the middle of the street. Let's go. Good girl, Lady. Nice job. So it's a lot of encouragement. Yes, get it. A lot of encouraging. Come on. Oh. And a lot of cheerleading her on. Neither of them appreciate any kind of like tugging. Not many dogs do, but they are very sensitive and averse to any kind of tugging. So you want to be careful that we're not pulling too much on the leash. If she stops and doesn't want to go, that we're not trying to drag her along, because that will make it so much worse. So we want to make sure we're just really cheerleading her, encouraging her. Come on, Lady, let's go. That's a good girl. Yes, and just really encouraging her to go on the walk. Again, same thing as with Zoe. We want to make sure that we're going at her pace right now. The biggest thing, yes, most important thing is that she is comfortable out on a leash and out on a walk, more so than anything. And while we're working on that, we can work on good skills by rewarding those good choices, rewarding her for walking with us and next to us. But we want to let her explore, check things out, and really go at her own pace. That is really, really important for both of them. And then also giving them opportunities to sniff and explore when they feel like they kind of want to, as long as it's within reason, of course, and safe for them to do so. But that is part of getting comfortable with the outside world, is allowing them opportunities to sniff and check the world out when they find something that kind of interests them. So that's what's going to help them get more comfortable. So we want to do that. I know that makes walks very slow pace and not, fast moving, but I'd say the biggest thing to remember is that when you're taking them out and about, it is more about quality of the walk versus quantity as far as distance. We're not trying to go the farthest, even though that is how us humans like to consider walks in miles. For our dogs, it's more about the time spent out there. So the quality of the time spent, and it doesn't always have to be moving. this exploring is not only beneficial to their confidence, but it is just as exhausting as them going for a walk, because they're expending mental energy checking out the world, seeing where other dogs have sniffed, gathering information. And so that mental exhaustion is just as kind of important as doing any of the physical stuff. So, and at this age, they're still young girls. And as they get more comfortable, they'll be able to walk farther and more. But really, these walks right now are about getting out, exploring the world, and doing something together. So again, too, we want to make sure we're doing these individual walks so that they're getting that individual time that is so important to multi-dog households, especially multi-dog households that have litter mates. Yes, good girl, get it. But also just so important for your bonding with them as individuals instead of just as a pair. Because while they are siblings and the same breed, of course, and have so many things that are similar, they are also very much individuals and have very different personalities and different interests. And it is so fun to see that when you work with them more one-on-one than when you're with them in a group. Get it? Good girl, lady. Good girl. Last thing I wanted to note is you notice I don't have their harnesses on them yet for our walks, because that was seeming to hinder us even a little bit more. So right now we're doing just the collar and the leash, with the goal being that you can build back up to those harnesses. I do typically prefer a harness, but I also wanted to make them feel as comfortable as possible, and the harnesses were not something that were making them more comfortable with the leash. They got more comfortable once we removed the harnesses. So that is why they're both on just flat collars and their leash. Good girl. Come on, lady, let's go. Drop it. Lady, drop it. Drop it. So for the potty bells, here's Zoey working on hers. She is still at the point where we're still working on getting her to hit the bell on cue, so there's no association with the door yet. So here I'm just kind of luring her over the bells, and when she hits it, I'm marking yes and rewarding her. She's just taking a little bit longer to the bells than Lady has, but she's made some really big improvements this week on the bells, where she's starting to hit it a little bit more on her own. You can see her trying and really thinking here as I hold the treat up a little bit over the bell. You'll see her kind of paw at it, and that's what I'm kind of looking for here. That she's starting to recognize hitting the bell on her own versus me just luring her right over top of it. So she's made good progress, but this is kind of still where she's at. Lady, as you're going to see here in just a second, is a little bit farther along. So we've got the bell next to the door for Lady. And every time you take Lady out to go to the bathroom, or anytime, you're going to ask her to ring the bell. So you're going to cue her bells. As soon as she hits it, yes, good girl, and you're going to take her out the door. So you're going to continue to do this until she starts hitting it regularly on her own. The idea is that she's learning here that ringing the bell opens the door. And last but not least is enrichment. Enrichment is letting dogs be dogs and also getting lots of mental and physical activity as well as much rest. So this can be enrichment activities, puzzle toys, playtime with each other, individual playtime with you, as well as time outside to just be a dog, whatever that means for them, sniffing, chewing a stick or pine cone, and just letting them kind of be and do dog things. They both really enjoy being outside and just sniffing around the yard. While they definitely love to play, they also loved that time to just kind of decompress and be a dog and check out the yard. So making sure they have all those needs kind of met. This is that final piece to having that really well-rounded, good dog that you are looking for inside the house. That's a wrap on Zoey and Lady's training.